Okay, beginning our day. So I've been on a road trip with Skip and Tanyasa. It's very good to get a bit of a break, and this is a very good place to come back to. Started out by going to Pacific Hermitage, and got a very good feeling from Pacific Hermitage, Luang Por, Ajahn and Gargatai there. Saw mudita for Luang Por, getting a lot of time, getting to spend a lot of time at Pacific Hermitage. Then went up to Winthrop, Washington. It's about a 6-hour drive north of Pacific Hermitage. Got to see Doug and Sarah, and Tanisipo's parents. They're trying to start a little hermitage of their own up there. Then west over the Cascades to Seattle area. Got to see some friends there. Stayed with Ladawan for a couple nights. Got to talk on the phone with Ajahn Sek while there. Also got to do a fun kind of FaceTime phone call, video phone call with Thailand with a Buddha Rupa artist in Chiang Mai who's made this Buddha Rupa, which has become a spontaneous offer to Abhayagiri. And that was quite fun to get a tour of this Buddha Rupa. And then down to Portland. Stayed with Sakula and Alistair for a couple nights. Or for one night, actually. And then down to Eugene, stayed with Ray and Jeed for a night. So just getting to reconnect with various people. And then we camped on the South Oregon coast for a night and went down, did the Three Jewels, third Monday of the month, teaching Fort Bragg, and then came back. So it was a bit of a drive about, but very good just to have that somewhat unstructured time. So only really 2 formal teaching engagements, one was in Winthrop, this place called the Wellness Center, and then the other being Three Jewels. And so it's a different mode for me doing a lot of teaching, like with Luang Por. Going to Pacific Hermitage, that means more teaching for me. Of course, Ajahn Chun is back now, so he agrees to give talks as well. So that lessens the burden a bit. Is actually found myself, if I do too much teaching, the mind just kind of goes blank, and there's that desire to not talk. Then found myself, because I very much had that attitude of just taking a break, and so it wasn't, say, I went to Portland Friends of the Dhamma one day to pay respects to this beautiful Buddha image that went there 5 years ago or so. I still hadn't seen it in person, so I wanted to pay respects to that Buddha image that's there, but then there was a bit of a meal offering, a few people around, and then it wasn't a formal teaching situation or anything. It was just seeing friends. But then somebody did want to ask a Dhamma question. But then it was like this really long question, and it wasn't actually a question. It was more like one of these like, this is what I'm doing in my practice, and this is how it's going for me. And I guess there's not really a question there, but am I doing the right thing or whatever? Looking for some, validation. And I just said, you just have to, Luang Por was going to be going there the day after for a day long. I said, you can ask Luang Por. So, actually I told him that before he said, can I ask a question? I said, whatever your question is, you can ask Luang Por. And then then he did that, and then I said, you can ask Luang Por. So I didn't really have much of an answer. And then I found, because I wondered sometimes, like tea time or whatever, when Pasano, he's done so many thousands of, say, Q&As and tea time sessions, and sometimes I would be a bit taken aback. Somebody would ask a question, he would just like say yes or no, and he wouldn't really go into detail. I wonder, why does he do that? Why doesn't he kind of explain it? But now I know why, so I found myself even this early on doing that a little bit. Alistair asked me one night, and we were hanging out at their place, and he said, asked me something about, can't remember what it was about, but he said, do you have any input about that? And I said, no. I just don't have any input. Good, it's good already. So, sometimes it's just directing everybody back to, everybody has the answer already. You don't need the answer from somebody else. Everybody actually has the answer, but it's looking at how do we ask questions, and what types of questions are we asking, and then that points to what we need. But it was a very rejuvenating trip to do before the Vasa, and I feel like I can be a bit more productive in planning and scheduling for the Vasa period. We do these 2-week solitary retreats, Vinaya classes. We'll have our Yosemite trip, conditions allowing, during the Vasa. So we do all these things, and I'm hoping that the Vasa will be like a lot of space, so even for those of us who aren't in the 2-week retreats, then there'll be quite a bit of space, I'm hoping, and just taking things slowly, not moving too quickly, and because we're not building any kutis this year, there's no real deadlines, so we just get on with things, and encouraging that spending some time doing walking meditation on one's own, not just during the morning and evening pujas, but actually getting up to the kuti from time to time, doing the walking meditation, doing some sitting meditation, reconnecting with practicing that way. So we do, if we take things slowly and we have an even keel, we keep an even attitude during the mornings, during the work periods, then it's going to go very well in the afternoons. And so we practice things like kindness. We use right speech, and we do things. We learn how to develop a sense of seeing that everybody here is trying to make an effort to practice Dhamma. So cultivating mudita for everybody and rejoicing in that, and developing a sense of kindness. When we're kind with others in the morning, then we'll be kind to ourselves in the afternoon, because that same mental factor will carry on through the day. So however we're holding our mind when we're around others, that's going to carry on to when we're on our own. Leave that for reflection this morning.